This is the Belleville mini mill. Belleville is a U.S. company in Chicago, but these boots are made in Cambodia. They make boots for the U.S. military. These ones obviously are not made for the U.S. military, but their military ones are often made in the U.S. So they're kind of a wide-ranging company that offers quite a bit. We'll first start with weight. First we have the non-American measurement. We've got 751 grams. I am a size 43 European and a size 10 men's US. These ones I upsized by two. By two sizes, meaning one whole size, by the way. So I upsized to 11 US men's. I think for the average person, though, I would recommend just going up a half a size to a whole size if you want a wider fit. I went a whole size because I wanted a wider fit. These are already the wide models, but the wide ones were not wide enough in my size. So there's the size of one. Let's go to American. Oops, shit. Okay. So, okay, there we go. 1 pound, 10 ounces for both. 13.2 ounces for one. Hopefully you can read that. So these are the mini mill shoe. They also have a boot. So I've tried the boot before, and I had a lot of reservations with the boot. The problem I had with the boots were, because I would imagine if you're looking at these, you probably have tried the boots or looking at the boots before. Problems I had with the boots was a lot of people complain about there's like a plastic heel insert here. There's even tutorials on how to remove this plastic insert because apparently it takes a long time to break in. I didn't have issues with that, but I always use thick socks with mine, so it just never bothered me. Same thing with the mini mill boots, though. I always went up a half to a whole size with those, so I kind of knew in advance on these, even though with these I tried both. I tried a half up and a whole up. So that was one of the complaints with the boots. The other problem I have with the boots is a lot of times with shoe fitting, because I did go up a whole size basically. But even when I tried the lower sizes with the boots, there's like volume of your foot, which is basically like from here to here, right? Or here to here. And so especially with this lacing, if you can't tie that down enough with the boot, you end up getting a very loose fit and your heel ends up sliding around in the back there. And I always found the boots had horrible fitment issues. So when I had to size up, I always had to use sort of a thick wool insole or this cork one here to give myself extra volume so that then I could tighten the boots down enough to where I had a snug, solid fit. So unfortunately, one of the Belleville weak points on the multiple models I've tried of theirs has been the lacing down is always a bit of a kind of a Lego game to get them to fit. So, yep, that was the two complaints, the heel insert and the fitment issues with those. The other one I had with the mini mill boots was they've got two colors. They've got the suede one, which is more of the military coyote color. That one's very good for breathability. The black one was meant more of like the police color. The problem with the black one was it was a polyurethane coated leather. I hate polyurethane coated leathers, which means it's a leather, kind of like this, but there's a layer of plastic put on the outside. And so what happens is, well, leather doesn't already breathe enough, but when you have the polyurethane coating, while it might make it water resistant, it makes it breathe horribly. And so usually it's not just like you could wear wool socks, which stays warm when wet. Wear them inside, you get wet anyways from sweat, and then you can kind of go through the day. It was like, no, it would get so sweaty on the inside that they would eventually wet out so much that your feet would get cold. And so I did not like the black version, period. So if I went with those again, I'd only go with the coyote. So anyways, going to the shoes, they don't offer them in leather. And so we'll continue with the tangent on ending it. This is like the, gosh, I think it's like black multicam. I just wanted black, to be honest, but I don't know why they offer these zombie green colors. They just look so stupid, but, you know, I guess I'm approved for undead readiness class. So we'll focus on the outsole first. It uses literally the exact same outsole as the Mini Mill boots. So the Mini Mill boot has a great outsole. I would expect it to last about 1,000 miles, which for this one I consider pretty good. With my government discount, I got these for $90. I think the average pleb is paying about 120 to 130 for them. So I would say for 1,000 miles of durability, that's pretty decent, especially because with a barefoot shoe, you're usually kind of compromising already. It's got a great outline with a narrow heel and a wide-ish toe box, with the caveat of me getting a larger size. So I have no complaints with the outsole, actually. I would say it's reasonable tread. It doesn't collect dirt. The durability's been good. These are probably been used for 200 miles maybe. So you could definitely see it's worn down where the nubs are a little bit, but it's not too bad. So yeah, I'd expect it to last maybe 1,000 or less, maybe 750 to 1,000 miles. For that price, I would say that's pretty good. Especially since most running shoes, I think they say about 500 miles usually. So yeah, I mean, with the compromises of barefoot shoes, I like it. But the one thing I don't like is it is not stitched. So other shoes use sidewall stitching as well as glue to hold them together. We'll go with this one. This one uses thick stitching, and then it's also glued in as well. So what does that translate to? Well, if your place manufacturer uses shit glue, you get shit results. So since I've only used these not too much, I already have a lot of splitting there where the foot bends. Now all of theirs uses like, I think, a 500 denier nylon upper. This one in particular uses I think it's called super fabric. So I was super curious about the super fabric, so because I think company in Oregon uses super fabric, but it sucks for what I've used so far. And I don't know if it's causing issues. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know if it's causing issues with the lamination, because if you can see here, the leather part's holding pretty fine. This is fake leather, by the way. This is plastic suede. But the super fabric is not. So that's my complaint with the outsole. I would, especially if you ever buy something like this, I would always buy some type of glue to fix them up yourself. There's shoe goo, but I don't recommend shoe goo. I'll try to put it in the bottom, the one I do use to patch them up, and I'll probably use them to patch these up after the video. So I think that's it for the outsole. The upper. So this toe bumper here so far is held on fine. There's a little bit of opening here. Usually with these type of toe bumpers, if they're not stitched down, eventually they'll come out. They'll come loose. So far it hasn't happened with me yet, but you have to understand there's two types of builds for this shoe. One of them does use the suede for the toe bumper in the front. I would kind of steer you towards that one, just because it is stitched on, whereas this is only glued on. But also for this, I mean, I don't think this plastic suede is anything remarkable, but I don't think it breathes super well. Whereas what I'm trying to say is I just wish they used leather. I don't know why they didn't, but they didn't. So, but the super fabric itself, you can see where it's opened up here because they have these weird beaded nodules here. It's almost like it's like you're playing a Super Nintendo game and you have one life. And it's like this bump here has one life, where one scrape and it's gone. Like it's now ready, it's lost its pants and it's going to die the next hit, meaning the fabric's going to take it. So if it's super fabric, which is supposed to be durable and breathable and all these other things, well, unfortunately, these nubs have taken any potential chance of it being breathable, period, because there's just very little room for where the fabric shows. But you can see here where all these nubs for 200 miles have already like flaked off. So same one on here. It's just so bizarre of a design. I mean, I've thought about taking a knife and just trying to cut the nubs off because, man, this shoe does not breathe. It's probably one of the worst breathable shoes I've ever worn. And I'm used to leather. Which doesn't breathe leather can almost never get above a 3 out of 5 on breathability for me. They obviously have a mesh here, which is supposed to be where the breathability comes loose, but yeah, I don't know what it is. These shoes do not breathe well. So this model, do you think I want to recommend it? I'm not. But the other ones that use the nylon 500 don't use these weird nubs. And the other ones also have holes cut out into the side that are also supposed to breathe out the side as well. That's something that the Mini Mill Coyote version has, the boot. And also so a lot of Belleville's other like military models that are meant for the desert also have. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird because this one's not meant to be waterproof either. They've actually just released a waterproof version. So if you are wanting a waterproof version, go for that one. Don't go for this one. And I don't even know if I would even recommend the waterproof because a lot of times those waterproofings fail after like 100 miles anyway. So I would almost just consider using, let me see if I can find it. Because the cool thing is about me upsizing as much as I did is that I have these nylon outer layers. I have been testing wearing 2 layers of socks for so long to see if I could find some combination of either super warmth or super breathability. And these actually work in these shoes. So, and this nylon your foot sweats, but it does stay warm. And it doesn't ever feel like it's bogged down and gotten cold again. But with this, I can actually wear a thinner, like a medium wool sock, and then these on top, and then fit them in the shoe, and I don't feel like it's too scrunched in with the toes. So my recommendation if I was Belleville would be, why don't you guys just release a freaking leather model? Just release the Coyote model, because then you can mess with the leather. If you want it more breathable, you can use, leather conditioner or a waterproofing agent to make it more water resistant. But yeah, or just, if I was you, don't buy this model. Try the 500 deniers that breathe better. I might try them at some point, and I'll potentially get back at you at some point in the next 15 years on it. So, yep, that's my thoughts on the upper. The fit and ergonomics. I have to say, this, I've always been more of a boot person than a shoe person. In fact, I even love the Chelseas because a lot of times with that elastic siding, you get, you still get about as much as a small boot. You get about 4, 5, 6 inches off of the ground with water. I live in an area that's heavy with water. But these shoes were really designed as like a boot shoe. And they almost feel, other than that small indent there for your ankle bone, they kind of feel like a chukka in a way. They feel like a small, like desert type of boot. And I haven't been worried that when water comes up and around, just a splash, because obviously if it goes through here, it's going to go through the hole there. But I've been, going through dewy grass or something like that it hasn't gotten wet from the outside. It always just gets wet from the inside because it's swamp conditions. But, yeah, no, I think this design is great. It's literally a Butte manufacturer designed a shoe, and this is the product, and it's the most boot feeling shoe I've ever had in terms of feeling like I'm covered. Don't have, ankle support or anything like that, but at least I don't feel like I'm exposed to, my socks are going to get shredded by thorns or anything like that from them. So it's great. Because it kind of covers both ends for me when I don't want to wear a boot, but I want to wear a shoe that feels like a boot. So, but it's still lightweight. So the ergonomics, again, if you get your size, I think you're making a mistake unless you're going to just literally like take out the insole and not use that. So this insole here, the Sasquatch one, I almost always take a shit on insoles, but I have to say this insole, it works. So, and again, it has the design I was talking about where it's narrow in the heel, wider in the forefoot. It's not as wide as it should be. Let me show you the perfect width. So underneath here are the sole runners that, wow, I guess they match up. Actually, I'm totally nuts. So yeah, crazy. So there's the sole runners right there, and they're kind of almost neck and neck now. That on this, I will say though, so this is again going up a whole size, whereas the sole runners are literally my size. What was I gonna say with the width though? When I went up only a half a size, the problem I had was with the big toe here. You can see that, for example, like, so let's look at the sole runner. Other than this bend here, which isn't supposed to be here, these go pretty much straight from the ball of your foot here to your toe, which is what it should be for the natural shape of a foot. These kind of do. Like, so obviously my toe ends probably about here. So where it dives in just a little bit here, it doesn't impact me, but they do narrow down there. And I definitely noticed that when I go up only a half a size. So if you only want wide, but you don't want super wide, then go only up a half size. But if you want the wide where it's not bothering you, go up a whole size. I went up a whole size and now I can fit I can fit toe spreaders in them with socks. So I would say that fit is, with the edits I just made, is a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect. Again, I wish that was a little bit wider. Then I could only have to go up a half a size, but there's problems there. So basically, I think I went over the size volume. The great thing about the volume of this shoe too, kind of like what I talked about using the neoprene sock, is it's a type of shoe that you can very well customize. You can put different insoles in. You could change it out with the whatever that Sasquatch insole is, and put in like a wool insole or a cork insole like I just showed you. Obviously those insoles are probably part of why it doesn't breathe super well. They don't have any perforation through them. They're not going to absorb sweat, but they're comfortable. I will say that much. And usually I don't find barefoot shoes very comfortable for standing around in, but those are fairly comfortable. So again, I would say that the outsole here, other than the delamination, is a 4 out of 5. I think it was a great outsole even for the mini mill. The upper sucks. Don't recommend it. Don't recommend it one bit. It's a 1 out of 5. The ergonomics with the changes are 4 out of 5. I think I went over that. What purpose is this for? Again, pretty much if you're a boot person, you're wanting a shoe, I think this is your shoe that you'd want. Unless their waterproof model has found some secret formula, I would probably just recommend one of the breathable ones. And if you want something that's more waterproof, size up and buy neoprene socks, or buy the other socks that are waterproof socks like the Gore-Tex ones and just use them for that instead, because then you can edit them so that they would work for water or without water. Typically, I would imagine if you're in a high water situation, you're not even using shoes anyways, but yeah, so that would be the purpose for it for. I mean, I think it's an excellent everyday shoe other than the caveat I mentioned. And I think the manufacturer kind of achieved their goal. I think it's better shoe than the boot other than the upper here. Would I buy this again? I would not buy this model. I will probably end up buying some other form of black for the other model, but the perforation on the side, etc., and what I mentioned. And do I think these are a good value? I mean, considering most shoes today are about $100, yeah, I think it's a good value. I think the only thing that's a better value that's almost impossible to beat are those Witten shoes that are offered off Amazon. They're only about $40. The problem with the Wittens is they're cotton canvas usually for the top, or a mesh for the top. So usually the top is kind of weak and it's not really good for outdoors. And you really can't make a cotton not get wet and stay wet. Like you can wax it, but it only works for a while. And plus then you're giving yourself a boot that doesn't breathe worth a damn. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a casual shoe, definitely the Wittens. But other than that, I think the Wittens make some compromises that screw with it. Unfortunately, if all these models have this delamination problem and glue can't fix it, then no, I do not recommend this. So I would consider reading future reviews to see if the other people with this shoe are saying the same thing in terms of the sole's delaminating, and no amount of glue is going to fix that up. So yeah, I think they're a pretty good value in terms of if you're wanting a shoe that kind of functions like a boot, with that fact that you could make those customizations in terms of changing your size and socks, insoles, outer socks, etc. I think that's about all. One thing I forgot to mention is, well, one, this holder thing kind of sucks. But more so is that this strap here sucks too. This strap here has a lot of volume to it. And so what these are typically for, so if you want to look at it from this one, for example, you've got this strap here, and it's meant to prevent this inner part of the tongue from sliding around too much. As you can kind of see, this one wants to go this way. This one is holding fine, but you want it to hold tight to kind of keep it flat there. And unfortunately, because there's so much room in here, it's totally failing at its job. So, yep, if I was Belleville, I would totally change that as well.